I can't.
And I think it's my fault that the game is being played the way it's played now, because when I was dominating the post, to try to bring in centers to bring me out from the post. And then we're all products of our generation, so shoot the jumper. So it's my fault that guys are playing soft, what I call it.
Anthony Edwards just handed Shaquille O'Neal the perfect opening. He did not need a long setup. He did not need statistics or careful arguments. He grew up watching Dr. J dominate. He played alongside Kobe Bryant during one of the most dominant dynasties the NBA has ever produced. He stood on the same court as Michael Jordan and felt what that level actually demanded from a competitor every single night. So when someone from today's game says the 1980s had no skill, Shaq does not have to guess or build a case. He was there. He knows exactly what that era produced. He played against players from that generation and understood firsthand what they were capable of bringing to a game. And now he is looking at the current NBA and saying, it does not compare. Not as a bitter retired player looking for attention, not as someone chasing relevance, as someone who earned the right to speak on greatness because he achieved it at the highest level possible. That opener tells you everything about where this conversation is going, and it only gets sharper from here.
I didn't watch it back in the day, so I can't speak on it. They say it was tougher back then than it is now, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. Michael Jordan was the only one that really had skill, you know what I mean? So that's why when they saw Kobe, they were like, oh my God, but now everybody has skill.
There it is. Straight from Anthony Edwards himself. He admitted he never watched old school NBA games, and then in the same breath, called an entire era unskilled. That is not a hot take. That is not even a real opinion. That is someone speaking with total confidence on something they openly admitted they know nothing about. Larry Bird had no skill. That is the actual claim. The same Larry Bird who walked into the three-point contest and told every competitor they were all fighting for second place before a single shot was taken. The same player who told defenders the exact spot on the floor the shot was coming from, and still hit it right over them while they could not do anything about it. That player had no skill.
Are you comedy me?
What makes it worse is not just that Edwards said it. It is that he admitted he never studied it, never watched the tape, never sat down and actually tried to understand what he was dismissing so casually. Now here is what makes Shaq's response so powerful. He brought people who were actually in those rooms to speak.
Bird comes in and says, which one of you is going to come in second place? Nobody said nothing.
He said, I'm going to wait till you get one step away from me and I'm going to shoot it right in your face. No, true story. So I got one step away. He shoots it all net. 3-pointer, good. Then he turned to me and said, you did all that running for nothing.
You just heard it from people who were actually standing in that locker room. Bird walked into that three-point contest and announced the result before a single shot was taken. Not as trash talk, not to get in someone's head, as a statement of fact, and every single player in that room stayed completely silent, because they already knew he was right. Nobody challenged it. Nobody laughed. They accepted what was about to happen before it even started. Then Bird went out and proved it again. Now think about what that actually takes. Edwards has never experienced that kind of certainty from an opponent in the modern NBA, because players simply do not do that anymore. Nobody describes the exact shot they are about to hit and then delivers it with surgical precision, while a defender is right in their face. That era was built on a completely different level of psychological and physical dominance. And Bird was not just confident in contests. He brought that same mentality into every single game. He told a defender the exact spot on the floor, the exact moment, waited for him to close out, and then dropped a cold three that did not graze the rim. Turned around and said, you did all that running for nothing, not screaming, not celebrating, not even looking back, just stating a fact and walking away like it was the most normal thing in the world. That is mental domination dressed up as basketball, and it worked every single time because the skill to back it up never wavered. Not once in his entire career. Bird was also dealing with a back condition that most players would have used as an excuse to sit out, playing through pain that eventually ended his career, giving everything to every game even when his body was telling him otherwise, and still putting defenders on posters with trash talk that aged perfectly. That is the player Edwards called unskilled. And now the basketball community started responding loudly. The people who competed against Bird were not going to stay quiet.
Big guy shooting threes, but Hopefully somebody brings it back. However, if I was playing today, though, they would have to change from Steph Curry and those guys messed it up. Like, I don't mind Golden State back in the day shooting threes, but every team's not a three-point shooter. So why everybody has the same strategy, I think it makes the game boring.
And that is exactly where this whole conversation lands. Shaq is not just defending Larry Bird. He is not just clapping back at a young player who said something careless. He is making a statement about what happens when a generation stops studying the game that was handed to them. Anthony Edwards is one of the most electrifying players in the NBA right now. The talent is undeniable. The confidence is real. But confidence without knowledge is how you end up calling one of the greatest competitors in basketball history unskilled on camera, and not even realizing why that lands wrong. Larry Bird played through a back condition that would have ended most careers years earlier. He gave 13 seasons to a physical era of basketball where hard fouls were strategy and getting knocked down was just part of the game. He trash-talked with precision because he had the skill to make every single word land exactly the way he meant it to. Shaq lived in that era, competed in it, felt what Jordan, from that same generation, did to him every time they shared a floor, and he is still talking about it decades later because it left a mark that nothing else ever matched. That is the era Edwards waved off. Now here is the part that should sit with everyone watching this. The modern NBA, the three-point revolution, the pace and space, the analytics, the global audience, the contracts, all of it was built on the foundation those players laid down when nobody was paying the kind of attention the game gets. Today they did not have social media. They did not have highlight packages going viral overnight. They just showed up and competed at a level that shaped everything that came after. Respecting that does not mean saying today's players are worse. It does not mean every era comparison has a winner. It just means understanding where you came from before you speak on it. Shaq said it simply. He knows what greatness looks like because he lived it and competed against it. And from where he is standing, you cannot call it greatness right now. Not yet. Maybe Edwards goes back and watches the tape he admitted he never saw. Maybe this becomes the moment that changes his perspective on what that generation actually built. Either way, Shaq said what needed to be said, and the people who were in those rooms backed every word. So tell me, is Edwards completely out of line, or just a young player being honest about his blind spots? Drop your answer in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this conversation is not going anywhere.